So here's one of those messages from President Trump, September 14th, 2021. It's the story of dumb blank General Mark Milley, the same failed leader who engineered the worst withdrawal from a country, Afghanistan, in U.S. history, leaving behind many dead and wounded soldiers, many American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the newest and most sophisticated military equipment in the world. And our country's reputation is true, then I assume he would be tried for treason. Treason. In that he would have been dealing with his Chinese counterpart behind the president's back and telling China that he would be giving them notification of an attack. Can't do that. The good news is that the story is fake news concocted by a weak and an ineffective general together with two authors who I refuse to give an interview to because they write fiction, not fact. Actions should be taken immediately against Milley, and better generals in our military, of which we have many, should get involved so that another Afghanistan disaster never happens again. Remember, I was the one who took out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. Milley said it couldn't be done. So Milley basically told President Trump, you wouldn't be able to do this, Mr. President. And guess what? He did. Ha! For the record, I never even thought of attacking China, and China knows that. The people that fabricated the story are sick and demented, and the people who pointed out are just as bad. In fact, I'm the only president in decades who didn't get the U.S. into a war, a well-known fact that is seldom reported. Way to go, Mr. President, for sharing that. And so you guys know that he's going after General Milley, the top general. He was so fearful that Trump might spark war that he made secret calls to his Chinese counterpart, the new book says, right? So he's claiming that old President Trump's going to send a nuke, so I'm afraid of him. So I got to call China to let them know. What an idiot, if it's even true. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Maybe it could be a white hat, could be a black hat. A lot of folks are trying to figure it out about General Milley, how he secretly held Pentagon meetings to undermine Trump, President Trump, because he believed the former U.S. president would use nuclear weapons in his final days in office. So General Milley's up to no good, talking to China, and this is what Trump had to say.
So first of all, if it is actually true, which is hard to believe, that he would have called China and done these things and was willing to advise them of an attack or in advance of an attack, that's treason. And I would think, I've had so many calls today saying that's treason, number one. Number two, it's totally ridiculous. I never thought of it. You were there. You knew what was happening in the White House. You have plenty of friends. You never heard the word China mentioned in a thing like this. You heard a lot of anger about China on trade, and we made a great trade deal. You heard a lot of anger in China with the China virus. But for him to say that I would even think about attacking China, I think he's trying to just get out of his incompetent withdrawal out of Afghanistan. The worst, the dumbest thing that anybody's seen, probably the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to our country, where they killed our soldiers. We left with embarrassment on our face. We left Americans behind, and we left $85 billion worth of the best equipment in the world that I bought, because I was the one that rebuilt our military, and then Biden gave it away. For him to say that I was going to attack China is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and everybody knows it. And I have to tell you, I don't know if they have him on tape saying this, but I found Woodward and I found his cohorts to be extremely dishonorable people. That's why I didn't do an interview with him. I think he's highly overrated. This guy is one of the most overrated guys. He's a sleaze. But I did not ever think of attacking China. One other thing, I just read a report about a week ago where they said Donald Trump was the only president in decades that didn't start a war.
Exactly.
Mr. President, in response to you saying that this is treason, General Milley's actions, would you have fired him if you're still president?
Well, if I would have thought, he's been there a long time, he's been in the military a long time, but I got to know a lot of generals. We have some great generals. You know, I took out ISIS, as you know, al-Baghdadi. I mean, we did a thing that nobody's ever been able to do, the leadership. And you know, all the leaders that we're talking about, because you wrote about them, we took them out. We took out the ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate, which is much tougher to do than Afghanistan. I wanted out of Afghanistan. We had a good agreement. They had to meet a lot of conditions. They wouldn't meet them, and we bombed the hell out of them, and they'd call and they'd say, all right, we'll meet them. And in 18 months, not one American soldier was killed. I had a talk with Abdul, who is now the leader, and I said, if you do anything to our American soldiers or Americans, we're going to hit you harder than any country has ever been hit. And he said, I understand that we didn't have, from that call, we didn't have one soldier killed. And when we got out, if we would have gotten out, I would have done it much differently, except that the election was rigged. Okay, it was absolutely rigged. And take a look at what's going on right now in California with the mail-in ballots and all the crap that they're doing. But when we would have gotten out, the military would have gone last. So the military would have gone after all of the Americans were out, after some others were out, and then I would have taken all of the equipment, 100%, all 85 billion, and I had an expression that I used to use in the Oval Office. I want every bolt, I want every nail, I want every screw, I want every tank and every plane, I want all of it out. Think of it. They didn't even fly the planes out. They could have brought a couple of hundred pilots over. They could have flown the helicopters out. They could have flown the planes. Instead, we're giving them brand new Apache helicopters, one of the most incredible machines in the world. We're giving them aircraft. We're giving them brand new planes, hundreds of thousands of the top-grade machine guns and rifles and goggles, night goggles. These people that did this, and that's Milley and Biden, they're incompetent people. And you know what? I spoke to numerous of the parents of those 13 soldiers that were killed. And I want to tell you, they know it better than anybody. Their children, those beautiful children, should be alive today because they were killed by incompetence.
They were killed by incompetence. Still overwhelmed by this. Showing a real president, the one that really won the election, was stolen from him by the cabal and all these evil folks all over the earth. And here we are faced with all the issues that we're faced with, and we got Milley acting like an idiot. And we're hoping that this is part of some other white hat thing. A lot of folks think that it might be just a distraction. I don't know, I have a hard time believing it. The news from Bob Woodward about Milley helping China is certainly interesting. This from Storm has arrived 17. Woodward is the leftist hack. Remember when he reported that Trump called our fallen soldiers losers? Remember when he reported that Trump concealed the... My point is that Woodward is not on our side. Why is he smearing Milley? Either way, this is exciting news. It appears things are happening behind the scenes. Hopefully we find out what it is soon. And so continuing on, September 13th, 2021, President Trump said the big lie is the presidential election of 2020. When the fake news media uses that term, always remember that this was the election that is destroying our country, both inside and out. It shows you just how important these elections really are. And it shows you that hopefully behind the scenes they're doing the audits. Hopefully they're auditing all 50 states. And hopefully President Trump gets back in there. So President Trump clip from Newsmax today, his tone was as righteously indignated as I have ever heard from him. Check this out.
22 and 24, we're not going to have a country left. The election was rigged, and we're not going to have a country left in 3 years. I'll tell you that.
You've been very generous with your time. Thank you for that. Before I let you go, I just got to ask this. You said that you've made up your mind about whether you're running again and that your supporters will be very happy about it. When do you plan on letting us know what that decision is?
I will probably not comment on that, but I will tell you, I think you will be very happy, Sean. I think you and a lot of other people that love our country are going to be very happy. I mean, I could make it soon, but, you know, that gets complicated. But you are going to be extremely happy, and this country is going to come back again. We are a laughing stock all over the world. What happened in Afghanistan, what's happening at our border where millions of people are coming in, we have no idea who they are. It's a disgrace. What's happening to our country, and now they're going to rig another election today in California. You watch the results of that one. It's a disgrace what's going on with the mail-in ballots and the voting. Our country is not the same, but we're going to bring it back.
Yep, so of course that election's already finished. We already know that they stole that one too in California. We know that there's no way that we're ever going to win a real election until 2020 is fixed, until finally everybody wakes up and realizes what in the world's going on. Because that's all they have in their playbook, the enemy. It's just a bunch of lies, cheating, and stealing. That's the only way that keep everybody under their thumbs. So Jack Posobiec said several Pentagon officers present in Milley's secret meeting, they're willing to testify against him under oath per White House official. Patel Patriot even said, let's not forget about Dong Jing-wei. How could anybody forget about him with a name like that? He went straight to the DIA. Nobody in the Biden administration knew. Either Milley is a white hat and didn't say a word, or Milley is a black hat and had no clue. Either way, Dong brought with him names of those feeding info to China. So either way, folks, we got information of names of people feeding information to China, probably including stealing the election. That's me saying that. The military knows who they can trust. That's right. And so they've got even the names of, if you look on the red state news, names of U.S. citizens who provide intel to China. That's one of them. And who provides sources to China. Even more so. So you get a step further with this guy that we have in office now. President Trump said that people don't realize that despite the rigged voting in California, I call it the swarming ballots. Now remember, folks, President Trump said that before we have the results of California. So he already knew what was going to happen. President Trump said, I got 1.5 million more votes in 2020 than I did in 2016. I think it's more than that. The place is so rigged, however, that a guy who can't even bring water into their state, which I got federal approval to do, that is the hard part, will probably win. Billions of gallons of water coming to California from the north is being sent out to sea rather than being spread throughout the state. This is to protect the tiny delta, which is doing far worse now without the water. In any event, it all doesn't matter because the California election is totally rigged. Many people are already complaining that when they go to vote, they are told, I'm sorry, you already voted. Just like 2020, among many other things, they then leave angry, but fortunately, even the fake news media has been reporting it. So Lauren Boebert even said that's the line for one porta potty at a Trump rally. So, of course, we know that Biden went out there to California to try to help old Newsom out. It's all just for show. And look what happened when he showed up. Yep, there we are. All those folks showing Biden just how much they love him, right? The White House says approximately 1,100 people attended Biden's rally for Newsom tonight. And Lauren, just like you said, that's a one porta potty line at a Trump rally. What a great comment for that one. Well, if you guys didn't know, they had a surprise here, right? The California recall election, if you shine a weak cell phone flashlight through the back of the envelope of these mail-in voter ballots, guess what? You can actually see who they voted for. Not a surprise, right? Jennifer Wilson said that's why the post office is not required to get the death jab. She added that one in. Oh boy, these things seem to all be tied together for sure.